Epic battles, clever strategies, and enough drama to make Game of Thrones look tame. Okay, minus the dragons and magic. That's John Woo's Red Cliff. But let's be real. If you're not familiar with Chinese history, culture, or values, this movie might feel like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Don't worry, I've got you. Today we're breaking it all down so you can actually enjoy Red Cliff and maybe even pick up a thing or two about Chinese culture along the way. Welcome to Real Talk, the channel where we spill the tea on movies and TV with sass, wit, and zero sugarcoating. Now here's the deal. John Woo launched Red Cliff in 2008, just in time to ride the wave of the Beijing Olympics. And honestly, it wasn't just about making an epic movie. It was about showing the world a slice of Chinese culture, the art of war, and what we value as a society. In an interview with David Stratton, Woo admitted the film is only about 50% factual. Why? Because he wanted to make it relatable to modern audiences. So yeah, hardcore fans of the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms might side-eye some of the changes. But come on, have you tried sitting through all 120 chapters of the book? Woo did what he had to do to keep things entertaining. First off, let's talk about the name. Red Cliff is the English translation of the Chinese Chibiyi. Chi means red and Biyi means cliff. It's a real place, known for its reddish rock formations along the Yangtze River. The name also perfectly ties into the fire attack that made this naval battle so iconic. Fun coincidence? All right, let's set the stage. We're going back to 208 CE during the chaotic collapse of the Han Dynasty. Picture this. The Roman Empire is falling apart, but instead of emperors, you've got warlords duking it out to take over. That's where we are. Total chaos, power grabs, and 3 big names trying to dominate. So why 3? Why not 2 or 4? It's all about balance. The 3 powers dynamic made survival a chess game, which is why this story became such a hit. The novel isn't just a classic in China. It's practically a guidebook for strategy, and not just for battles. People use it for business, leadership, and managing resources. No wonder it's still so popular in Asia today. We'll dive more into that as we go. But for now, let's get back to the action. The opening scene. At Wei State, the young Emperor Xian, clearly bored out of his mind with all the court officials, suddenly snaps into focus when the Chancellor, Cao Cao, strides in. Why? Because when Cao Cao speaks, everyone listens, or else. His presence is electric, and let's be real, he's not there to take advice. He's there to get the emperor to rubber stamp every single one of his decisions, and anyone in court who dares to speak against him, boom, executed. That's how things rolled under Cao Cao, so his demand? Eliminate the other 2 warlords and unite the empire under him. So let's break it down. After the collapse of the Han Dynasty, 3 major warlords emerged, carving up China into their own territories. First, there's Cao Cao, who took control of the young Emperor Xian. If you're wondering why Cao Cao didn't just take the throne himself, here's the tea: legitimacy. In that era, the emperor was seen as the son of heaven, the divine ruler. Cao Cao's advisors warned him that if he overthrew the emperor, he'd forever be branded a tyrant. And in a time of chaos, that kind of reputation wouldn't fly. So he kept the emperor as his puppet while consolidating power in the north of the Yangtze River, the longest river in China, the 3rd longest in the world, and a natural divider between the north and south. Cao Cao, the most powerful warlord of the north, wants to cross it to take over the south, which is controlled by Sun Quan. Next, we have Sun Quan, the young ruler of Wu State in the south of the Yangtze River. Sun Quan was no fool. He was the 3rd-generation ruler of his family, following his father, the founder of Wu, and his brother, a legendary warrior. But let's be honest, being the 3rd in line comes with its own set of pressures. Sun Quan had big shoes to fill, and he stepped up as a smart and capable leader who knew how to protect his turf. And finally, the fan favorite, or maybe not, Liu Bei. Why is this guy with no land, fewer troops, and less power still painted as the ultimate hero? One word: legitimacy. Liu Bei was the uncle of Emperor Xian, tying him to the Liu clan, the royal family that founded the Han Dynasty. In traditional Chinese culture, this connection gave him the mandate of heaven, or divine right to rule, making him the supposed protector of the Han Dynasty, which represented the majority ethnic group in China. Old school historians tied the Confucian virtues to his name. But fast forward to modern times, not everyone's buying it. Some find him a bit too pretentious, and honestly, he cried a lot. Like a lot. Still, there's no denying he had the loyalty of some of the most competent warriors and Zhuge Liang, the legendary strategist, which kept him in the game longer than anyone expected. But wait, Weren't Cao Cao and Sun Quan also Han Chinese? Yes, they were. But here's the catch. They weren't part of the Liu clan. In that era, only members of the Liu family could claim the mandate of heaven, making Liu Bei the rightful heir in the eyes of many. That's why, despite his lack of resources, Liu Bei was idolized as the beacon of hope for restoring the Han dynasty. The next scene takes us to Liu Bei and his warriors fleeing with thousands of civilians after Cao Cao's attack. Here's where the movie paints Liu Bei as the good ruler. He refuses to abandon the civilians, even though they're slowing him down. Classic underdog move, right? You can't help but root for him. Now Zhao Zilong gets his big heroic moment, risking his life to save Liu Bei's wives and son from the battlefield. Fans of the novel might notice John Woo skipped some heavy drama here, like the part where Liu Bei's sworn brother Zhang Fei tries to commit suicide out of guilt for failing to protect them. Liu Bei's response? Brothers are his hands and feet. Wives and children are his clothing. You may mend your torn dress, but who can reattach a lost limb? Yeah, not exactly a quote that ages well. Like bro before hoe, anyone? Then there's the dramatic moment from the novel where Zilong returns with Liu Bei's infant son, and Liu Bei throws the baby to the ground, saying, "For the sake of an infant, I risked losing a commander." It's over the top, but drives home the point. Liu Bei values loyalty and competence above all else. But let's be real. Modern audiences would find this move a little too much, which is probably why Wu left it out. Fast forward to Zhuge Liang's mission to convince Sun Quan to form an alliance. The vibe in Wu's court? Divided. The officials are like, let's not poke the bear. Cao Cao's army is huge. Meanwhile, the generals are ready to go full gladiator mode to defend their land. In the movie, he's portrayed as a reluctant ruler, and honestly, that's pretty accurate. It's not that he didn't want to fight Cao Cao, he totally did, but he understood the political landscape and the rift in his court. Unlike Cao Cao and Liu Bei, who were all about leading armies and leaning on strategists, Sun Quan was a true politician, calculated and more diplomatic. Sun Quan might not have been the loudest or the flashiest, but he was a master of the long game. Enter Zhou Yu, the ultimate strategist and general, played by Tony Leung. And can we take a moment to appreciate Tony Leung? This man speaks with his eyes. His smile says 1,000 words. In my opinion, he is the best actor in the film. Zhou Yu's character in the movie is much closer to history, loyal, honorable, and sharp, unlike the jealous, self-centered version in the novel. That scene where he rushes to help his wife's horse deliver a foal. At first you're like, what does this have to do with the story? But then it hits you. It's a metaphor. Zhou Yu struggles to pull out one leg of the foal, and Zhuge Liang steps in, calmly pushing the leg back in so both legs can come out together. The message? To succeed, you need balance and teamwork. It's basically Taoist philosophy in action, and honestly, it's kind of beautiful. And then there's the scene where Zhou Yu fixes a little boy's flute. Again, you might think, why is this even here? But it's another layer of symbolism. He doesn't just fix it, he improves it, turning the tone into something clearer and more harmonious, a metaphor for life itself. Sometimes all you need is a little tweak to transform chaos into harmony. Confucius would be proud. John Woo could have portrayed Zhou Yu as just another warlord, but instead, he gives him depth, humanity, and a poetic edge that lingers. See? This isn't just a war movie. It's a love letter to Chinese culture where strategy, philosophy, and morality are as important as swords and ships. Speaking of poetic, let's talk about Xiao Qiao, Zhou Yu's wife. The Taiwanese actress makes Xiao Qiao look like a walking masterpiece. Grace, elegance, and a touch of fire. Honestly, I was jealous. To spice up the drama, John Woo added the scene where she shows up at Cao Cao's military camp to delay the battle. But here's the thing. Xiao Qiao isn't just risking everything for Zhou Yu or their unborn child. She's doing it for Wu's future. Her letters, Naijie Ping'an, say it all. On the surface, it means the children will be safe and sound, but it's layered. She's naming their child Ping'an, peace, while also sending a message of hope for all the children of Wu. It's selfless, emotional, and pure cinema gold. John Woo really knows how to squeeze your heart, doesn't he? Now Cao Cao's obsession with Xiao Qiao. Historically, nope, that didn't happen. But in the movie, John Woo throws this in to level up the drama. Why? Because it creates a stark contrast between Liu Bei's virtue and Cao Cao's, well, lack of it. Cao Cao is portrayed as a man who sees beauty as something to conquer, while Liu Bei is painted as the righteous underdog who values loyalty and honor above all else. Personally, I'm not a fan of this obsessed villain trope. It oversimplifies Cao Cao, who, let's be real, was way more complex than that. But hey, it adds drama, and let's face it, movies need drama. So, there's this scene where Cao Cao's troops stumble across turtles on the road and start cracking jokes, calling Liu Bei's army cowards. If you're Chinese, you instantly get it. Turtles symbolize longevity, sure, but they also symbolize cowardice. Why? Because turtles retreat into their shells when threatened. In Western culture, you'd call someone a chicken. Same vibe, different animal. The soldiers laugh it off, thinking Liu Bei's troops are too scared to face them. Big mistake. Zhuge Liang wasn't running. He was setting a trap. Enter the legendary Bagua Formation, a Taoist-inspired maze that turns armies into sitting ducks. It's like watching a chess master make 10 moves while their opponent is still figuring out how to move a pawn. And those turtles? Zhuge Liang's ultimate metaphor, slow and steady wins the war. The soldiers walked right into a shell they couldn't escape, and let's just say, it doesn't end well for them. The irony? Those turtles they mocked were Zhuge Liang's secret weapon, patient, calculated, and lethal when the time is right. Finally, the epic scene, the fire attack at Red Cliff. Now that's historically accurate. Cao Cao's genius idea to chain his ships together to stabilize them backfired spectacularly when Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu used fire to destroy the fleet. Some records say Zhuge Liang predicted the wind shift using astrology. Others say it was sheer luck. Fun fact: Cao Cao's historical record claim. Cao Cao ordered his ships burned to prevent them from falling into enemy hands as his army retreated and just a strategic withdrawal. Lol? Okay. Classic damage control. Oh, and for those wondering why they didn't kill Cao Cao after this devastating loss, it's all about the power dynamics. Liu Bei avoided killing him because doing so would have unleashed Wei's troops in a fury of revenge, crushing him and his people. Sun Quan, on the other hand, had the same issue. If Cao Cao died, his Wei forces would have turned their sights on Wu. Remember, at this point, Wei was still the most powerful state. Letting Cao Cao live wasn't mercy. It was a strategic move to maintain balance in the three kingdoms. In Chinese culture, it's not just about winning, it's about winning the right way. This is where Confucianism kicks in. The movie's all about whether actions are honorable or dishonorable. Liu Bei, for example, is painted as the righteous guy because he's supposedly from the Han royal clan. But here's the tea. That legitimacy was more about branding than morality. Cao Cao, on the other hand, is the bad guy. But was he really, or was he just smarter and better at playing the game? Yes, he was deeply skeptical and trusting no one. But once he made a decision, he saw it through to the end, no matter the obstacles. This determination made him both feared and respected. And it's why the Wei state under Cao Cao became the most powerful and stable of the three kingdoms. So Red Cliff isn't just a war movie. It's a masterclass in Chinese culture, strategy, and storytelling. Sure, the pacing might be slower, and some of the humor might fly over your head. But if you stick with it, you'll see why this battle has been celebrated for centuries. It's not just about who wins. It's about how they fight and why. So what do you think? Did Red Cliff give you a new lens on Chinese culture, or was it still a bit of a puzzle? Maybe it's time for a rewatch with all this new context. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and join me for more real talk. Who knows? Maybe I'll tackle another epic next time. Any suggestions?